of Did You Know Doctor Who, or what you may not known about Doctor Who. This time it's our 50th episode, so why not have a look at the 50th anniversary, the Day of the Doctor. I hope you enjoy. This is the first and currently only multi-Doctor story to feature every single Doctor at that time. This is the first time a future incarnation of the Doctor appears before his official debut. The Zygons were David Tennant's favourite classic series monster, despite them only appearing once. The Zygons were also some of Moffat's favourites, hence why they appear in this story. Moffat was reluctant to bring Billie Piper back as he did not want to ruin Rose's character arc or story, so decided instead to bring her back as the Bad Wolf entity. Christopher Eccleston discussed plans for the anniversary episode with Moffat, but eventually declined to return as Ninth Doctor. Eccleston would later state that he declined due to a combination of not doing justice to the Ninth Doctor, as well as still being hurt by the BBC's action during his tenure. John Hurt did not actually audition for the part, but he had been asked by the production team and said yes with remarkable speed. John Hurt wanted the beard to stay as it made the Doctor look rough and characterised him as going through a lot during the Time War. When pre-production on this special began, Jenna Coleman was the only cast member who was under contract to appear. As a result, Stephen Moffat began working on a story which would have only her and tentatively named it The No Doctors, just in case no doctors were available. Originally, the War Doctor was referred to as the Renegade Doctor. This story is fronted by the version of the title sequence used on the original episode An Unearthly Child, modified to include a BBC logo and slightly shortened. This marks the sequence's first use since episode 4 of the Moon Base. The TARDIS interior set floor was raised from its normal height during the filming of the special to help Jenna Coleman's stunt double ride Clara's motorbike into the TARDIS. This is the final televised story to feature the 11th Doctor in a fez. The archived footage and recordings used during the Save Gallifrey scene for the different Doctors are as follows. For the first Doctor, footage is from the Daleks, the dead planet in particular. For the second Doctor, footage is from the Tomb of the Cybermen and the Mind Robber. Audio, however, is from the Seeds of Death. For the third Doctor, it is flipped footage from the Colony in Space and audio from the Green Death. For the fourth Doctor, it is flipped footage from Planet of Evil. For the fifth Doctor, it is footage from Frontiers and audio from the Five Doctors. For the sixth Doctor, footage is from Attack of the Cybermen. For the seventh Doctor, flipped footage is from Battlefield and there's footage from Doctor Who the movie. For the eighth Doctor, footage is obviously from Doctor Who the movie. And finally, for the ninth Doctor, footage is from Rose and the Parting of the Ways. The scene featuring the War Doctor's regeneration does not conclude with the emergence of the Ninth Doctor. It only shows hints of his face regaining form. Due to the absence of Christopher Eccleston after his decision to not reprise his role for the anniversary special, Stephen Moffat later explained his reasons for cutting the scene by claiming it would have been disrespectful for Christopher Eccleston. At some point, the script had posters of the Peter Cushing movies and revealed that they are American adaptations based on the Doctor's companions' accounts, but it was cancelled for budget reasons. The close-up of the 12th Doctor's face was shot on the same day Peter Capaldi shot his scene for the Time of the Doctor, meaning that he was using Matt Smith's costume and TARDIS set. Stephen Moffat stated that he believed that the Doctor did not change his past about destroying Gallifrey, since it is the story of what really happened that he's forgotten, and that of course he never did that. The opening scenes mimic the original opening to An Unearthly Child. The first shot shows a police officer going by a sign for 76 Totters Lane, and the second shot is set at Coal Hill School, as class is dismissed. Clara is now a teacher at Coal Hill School. A sign shows I. Chesterton is chairman of the school's board of governors, also showing that A.W. Coburn is headmaster, an in-joke reference to Anthony Coburn, who wrote An Unearthly Child, and Waris Hussein, Doctor Who's original director. As Clara leaves the school, a clock can be seen displaying the time as 5:16 p.m, the broadcast time of An Unearthly Child. When Kate realises there are multiple Doctors, she asks for one of her father's files, codenamed Chroma, which is a reference to her father at first believing the antimatter universe from the Three Doctors to be Chroma. The access code for Jack Harkness's Vortex Manipulator is 1716231163. This is a reference to the time, 1716, and the date, 23/11/63, that the episode An Unearthly Child first aired. Although not readable in the episode, the companion warboard contains details about companions from multiple media sources, as could be seen from the prop at the Doctor Who's experience. Ace's full name is Dorothy Gale McShane. Romana is from the House of Heartshaven. Romana too became Lady President. Barbara wrote a GCSE textbook called Journeys Through History, a source book for GCSE for the Associated Exam Board in 1985, and Harry Sullivan was a commissioned surgeon lieutenant who later worked for NATO and MI5. One Dalek fighter pod can be seen knocked away from the destruction of the Dalek fleet, alluding to the Dalek survivors of the Time War. When the Doctor and the Creator part ways, the war features a pattern of the round things very reminiscent of the Fourth Doctor's TARDIS. A short special was released alongside this episode called The Five-ish Doctors, which had Peter Davison, Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy trying to get involved with the anniversary special, and it even included several cameos. In fact, it even contained David Troughton and Sean Pertwee, the children of the second and third Doctor respectively. Speaking of Sean Pertwee, he was asked to come back and get involved playing the third Doctor, but he declined. There was also a short film called The Last Day, featuring the last day of the Time War. Working title for this story was The Time War. The 10th Doctor offending Elizabeth I and being in a relationship with her references two stories from his run, such as Elizabeth I trying to kill him and Martha at the end of the Shakespeare Code, and him making reference to their relationship in The End of Time. The portal's effects on the actions of the 10th Doctor were to manifest themselves in the present day as the 11th Doctor becomes racked with pain. This was similar to the 5th Doctor's reaction when his past selves were removed from time in the 5 Doctors. In the background, when the Zygons, Doctor and Unit talk, the Red Supreme Dalek's dome can be seen. Ironically, the Red Supreme Dalek was the leader of the Dalek fleet during the Time War. Initially, the 8th Doctor was to play a large role and was set to replace Eccleston after declining to appear, but it was felt that it was very awkward to have him there, and thus the War Doctor was created. With this story, Asylum of the Daleks, and the next story, The Time of the Doctor, it is the first time in the revival era to feature 3 Dalek stories in one series. The Dalek attack ship went through several names. It's been called a Dalek transporter, fighter pod, which was given by the BBC art department which designed them. The company Milk VFX assisted in their design. The Eaglemoss Doctor Who figure collection called it the Dalek gunship before finally being confirmed as a Dalek attack ship. Interestingly, these Dalek attack ships have concept art featuring what seems to be flying Dalek emperors. In fact, the toy still retains some of this old design. With the 8th Doctor Regeneration last story and the War Doctor this story, this makes it the first time to feature consecutive regeneration stories, and this would continue to the next story with the 11th Doctor's regeneration. The Curator wasn't even going to be in the special, but Moffat wanted to show the current Doctor speaking to a future incarnation, and chose Tom Baker as he was in many people's eyes the definitive Doctor. Whilst not 100% confirmed on screen but rather behind the scenes, the Curator is the Doctor's final form, having retired from his adventures. And finally, the positioning of all the Doctors at the end is done on purpose, having the actors of the special at the front, the 8th Doctor also at the front due to the Night of the Doctor, as is the 9th Doctor due to being one of the new Who Doctors, and of course the 1st Doctor is in the middle at the top, as he was the one to start it all. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed. The Day of the Doctor is the 50th anniversary special for Doctor Who, and it's of course the 50th story that I'm doing for Did You Know Doctor Who. However, what is my overall thoughts of the Day of the Doctor? Because I know some people don't actually like Day of the Doctor. They found it to be very disappointing, especially when the 5-ish Doctors and the Night of the Doctor was also released, which were, let's be honest now, admittedly much better stories and much better anniversary specials. And there was also the Adventures in Time and Space, which was a nice little documentary about the first Doctor and about William Hartnell and how he went to become the first Doctor. Overall, however, the Day of the Doctor is still a decent story, in my opinion. It's not the best story in the world, and I won't lie, it is nowhere near as good as the 5 Doctors, which is an absolutely fantastic anniversary special story and a fantastic multi-Doctor story, whereas this one kind of felt a little bit lame, but I won't lie, there are some moments which I really like. I do like the whole save Gallifrey scene, even if it does sort of undo the whole, horror of losing Gallifrey and being the last of the Time Lords and all that. I do feel like that was a bit unfortunate, but at the same time, it does bring back the Time Lords, even if Chibnall did ruin everything again, but fuck Chibnall. But overall, The Day of the Doctor is still a decent watch. It isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It isn't as good as Night of the Doctor, which is ironically much shorter and even better in just that short amount of time. And I do feel like they could have done with having the Eighth Doctor in. I don't know why they needed to bring in the War Doctor, but hey, they needed a big famous celebrity name in it, like John Hurt. And to be fair, John Hurt is a fantastic Doctor, even if he is only in this episode, and I guess you could argue the previous episode as well, one before Night of the Doctor. That said, Day of the Doctor does have some great moments, and I do love seeing the war-torn Gallifrey. I love seeing the, Time War in action, but then you also have the other side, which is a lot of it is to do with the Zygons, which whilst the Zygons are cool to see on screen again, I just feel like they're kind of a lame enemy to have as the big anniversary villain. Like, they could have had the Master or something like that. They could have had something more exciting, like what they did with the Five Doctors, which was, they had the Master, but they also had the Cybermen as well, and Rassilon. It was a lot more bigger and more ambitious, I'd almost argue. This one did feel a little bit like a lame duck in that sense. Then again, it's still a decent watch. It is still a brilliant celebration. And that shot at the end when you have all the Doctors, and when all the Doctors come in to save Gallifrey during the Time War, I absolutely love it. It is absolutely fantastic. Those two moments are truly what really saves this special for me. It's a decent watch, but I will lie, it could have been better. Overall, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Did You Know Doctor Who, and I'll see you next time.